Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Uh, I know it's been a few days since I've been active on this channel. I was thinking about what to talk about. Sometimes there's nothing to talk about, and you have to enjoy that silence. Uh, and we are so used to filling the void that we have forgotten what it means to be silent. There are so many levels of silence. Uh, Silence when there is no noise, there is a silence where you are not speaking, but internally the chatter is going on. And then there is a silence when you are unconscious, although you are asleep, but you are still dreaming. And then the real silence is when there is absence of self, when you are not there, but you are there. Because silence is who you are. So, coming back to the topic, life in a cult versus being in the real world. Now, I have not been in an actual cult as we see in the movies, but I have uh, experienced, uh, and I'm speaking from a completely neutral perspective, you know. Uh, for example, attending Art of Living, a workshop uh, that's for a retreat, for wellness and uh, spiritual healing and all that. So such workshops happen, around the world, like, and there is a group of people who attend a circle workshop for like 5 days, let's say at least. It can also go for a month. People meditate in silence or whatever. So what happens is you are a part of that community, and you have to follow certain rules, whatever they are teaching you, and you are learning, uh, trying to adapt. It's different from your usual life, so it does feel good, because uh, there is something new going on in your life. You are sharing this safe space with people, and there is no judgment or whatever. But when those 5 days or 10 days or 40 days, whatever period it ends, you come back to the real world, and you realize that in the real world there is a community, a bigger community. There is an authority that tells you how to live, what to do, and you have to follow those principles. uh, in a way, that is also a cult, but we call it the practical world, right? And in this practical world, we are uh, supposed to be compliant, and because we don't have a choice, uh, but to obey to the government, to the authority, whatever. We have to pay the taxes, we have to earn, we have to accept certain things that may not even be morally correct. And we have to focus on that life. So it's quite an interesting dynamic that when you are in a cult, a group, that is off the grid, completely cut off from the practical world, and you are in this delirium, ecstasy, whatever. You you forget that that is temporary, right? And then you come back in this world of pain and suffering, where you will actually grow, although we don't want to accept that. A part of us wants to remain in that state where you are experiencing bliss or comfort, right? So so what happens is that in a cult, people are somewhere, they although they escape. There are people who live in actual cults, by the way. uh, for example, we have seen these documentaries where they show Osho and other gurus who created these colonies, uh, where people were living. That was their life. They did not just have a workshop. They had a proper, this thing going on where people were living in an actual commune or self-sustainable society. And because somewhere they were, going against nature, they were doing something which was not morally correct. They had to face the consequences. I mean, I'm sure there are some people who live in certain places who are not bothering anybody. I mean, they are a part of that tribe, but certain people, they exploit an idea, and what happens is people blindly follow their leader. Just the same thing happens in this society, but we don't notice it. It's a very interesting topic, that some people who are living in cults, they are sometimes they are forced to, stay there, although they may want to escape. But usually what happens is they are brainwashed and drugged or whatever. They may try to escape, but they catch them, and because they are feeding off those people's energies. The same way, what happens in this practical life is, although we may accept it as normal, but what's happening is that if you go against the leader, you are going to face certain consequences. If it can also be in the house. A house can be a cult. A cult means a group of people living together following certain principles. Now, that is the traditional definition, right? But if you understand that sometimes it can be dysfunctional. So now this topic may seem a bit serious or dark. So if you're feeling uncomfortable, you can watch something else. That's up to you. So just giving a warning. So in the practical world, people, if they are try to escape, you know they uh, they can be pulled back, and thrown into some sort of business just to make money of them. And if they are in this world and they are suffering, uh, sometimes they try to protect their friends and family, and they will sacrifice everything, because they know that if they try to raise their voice or speak their mind, they will they will lose their life, or it can be bad for their loved ones. And unfortunately these things happen. When you try to, uh, in most cases it can be really difficult to survive when you are living in a society that blindly follows certain people, certain rules, that when you try to raise your voice, when you try to go against that system, you know the people will start turning against you. It's like in the film Inception. Then they are in, uh, there's a girl who is in a person's subconscious, and when the subconscious, there are so many people, they notice that there is some foreign body there, so they start getting hostile. It's their defense mechanism. Just like white blood cells attack uh, a foreign body in our system if they sense something strange. So the same happens when somebody will notice uh, that a person is, is not like them, or it's he is not following their leader. And this kind of behavior has existed since millennia. It's not something new, right? uh, so a cult is just a mini society. Everybody has their own ideology. It can be a cult of anarchists, of activists, of uh, animal lovers, of so-called spiritual people. What matters is, are you comfortable there or not? Unfortunately, it's like being in one cage and then running out, and when you enter the real world, it's a bigger prison. You try to adapt wherever you are for your survival, because uh, otherwise you cannot go anywhere, uh, right? So that's what happens. People, they there's a movie called Safe, SAFE, Safe. It was released in 1997 or something. Stars Julianne Moore. I think it's one of the best movies that I've seen, especially about cults. It shows how this woman who is getting clinically depressed, and she's having these allergies, and she's feeling exhausted, and you know because she is highly sensitive, and she is experiencing things uh, more than others. The doctors are saying that she's just sad, or she is getting sick because of certain diet, but actually what's happening is it's the society that is sick. So she goes to this cult, and over there she experiences this too good to be true sort of place where everybody is respecting each other and listening and all that. But after a while she starts noticing the signs that that place is actually, it's just a bit toxic, because they are not actually there to help others, but they are controlling them. Just like we see, the Truman Show. There's a video where I have talked about it. How there's this small town where Truman has grown up, and there are so many people living in that town, and they're all actors. So what's happening is there's this director leader who is controlling the whole thing. And yeah, so this is a bit paranoid, but I'm just sharing something. It may not even make sense because it is a bit unclear, to be honest. I'm just trying to understand this world myself. To be honest, it's sort of like being born again and seeing the world from a different lens. So what happens is, Charles Darwin said that the species who who will learn to adapt will be the ones who will evolve. So, like they say that it's the survival of the fittest. The fittest are the ones who will learn to adapt according to any situation. The more you have the adaptability, the more you will be able to survive or thrive, whatever, right? You see, the people who are successful in this world, they have an ability to adapt to any situation. The most successful people are not ordinary people. They have something inside of them. It's like an actor who can perform any role. You know, it's not, that actor is unique. Those are 10% actors who can do method acting, who can perform any role, who can, like, they are so malleable, right? The same goes for our body, our personality, whatever, that in this life, we the more we are adaptive, we are able to adapt, we are going to be able to cope. That is our sort of therapy. Like, most people are living a so-called normal life. They don't go to therapy, so-called counseling, whatever, psychiatrists and all that. They have a lot of issues, but because they have this adaptability, they are surviving somehow. Of course, uh, it can be very risky because a person, there's a high chance that a person, if they're not getting help and they're putting this shit, underneath the carpet, then that will come out in some form of the other, right? So yes, it is important to address certain issues, but what I'm saying here is that being in a cult sometimes sounds so appealing because we want to escape from the world of responsibilities and everything. But uh, I think that it's like it's a place where you actually belong, right? There are people who, like I said, they go to certain cults, but you have to, no matter who they are, they could be genuinely good people, but you may not fully resonate with them because you a part of you may not want to obey or do everything that they are doing. You understand? And uh, although it could be an actual spiritual community, but maybe you are a free spirited person and you cannot you know tie yourself down. It's just like somebody, marriage is a beautiful institution, but it's not for everyone. And somebody might get married to some person who is successful or whatever, but they might have their own rules because they believe in patriarchy. And the woman, let's just say, or somebody who, even if it could be a man, depends on the role they're playing, but the point is, usually it is a man who wants the woman to obey, right? Now that woman may be independent, and she will not agree with all those things because she might have fallen for that person's persona, his charisma, whatever he was trying to sell just to get that woman. This is what happens in our world. in our culture, we see a lot of politicians who are actually businessmen selling their agenda, and people fall for that. They vote for them, and uh, they're in a way married to them, and then they realize that most people are just oblivious. They're blindly following them because their life sort of depends on them. They are being exploited, and some of them who try to wake up and realize that they are being abused, they will face the consequences of that, right? So it's like they are the same people, they're just different faces. So some people just keep, they unfortunately there's an illusion of choice. So yeah, it's quite a dilemma, uh, how can one learn to survive and adapt when you don't know how to, when you are programmed in a different way, where you feel like you're the crazy one. And the best we can do is just uh, try to get to know ourselves, and not focus on things that don't concern you. There are wars going on, there is corruption, injustice, all that going on in the world, but can you do anything about it? The the best you can do is, as an ordinary person, that you can try to build your self esteem, build your identity, your your well being, work on your house, the people around you. For example, set your house in order, focus on your community or neighborhood, let's say, because no matter what we do, there will always be a hierarchy, right? There will be a hierarchy in the spiritual world, in the unseen realm where everything is being controlled. Now God is on the top, whether we believe in him or not. uh, the creator is at the top, right? And there are prophets or saints, you know there is a hierarchy according to their spiritual status, ranking, whatever. So they are giving, there is a faculty, and then there are archangels, the angels that are right under their wing, who are controlling so many other angels. So there's so much going on. The same way, if on the flip side, the devil, uh, there's this kingdom, lower kingdom, where the devil is supposed to be at the top, and then there are demons. There's a hierarchy, right? uh, so the same way we see that hierarchy in this world, in our dimension. And in a way, if you see it from a larger perspective, that is creating this order. Technically, order and chaos are meant to exist for sustaining a balance. Just like positive and negative, yin and yang, light and darkness, they are supposed to exist, whether we like it or not, right? Just uh, just like electricity is produced through positive and negative charges, proton and electron, whatever. So that is a science. That is, there is a philosophy behind it, there is a wisdom behind it. And as long as we are in this bubble, this suffering, we are, unfortunately, it's like a dream that feels like eternity, but eventually we are going to wake up. Someday we will wake up. We have to, that's what keeps us going, that most things are beyond our control. This is a dream, but we have a choice. We can try our best to make an effort to change our lives. uh, and yeah, it's all about, you know uh, your awareness. I think this was quite a good session. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give me your feedback. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.